So you've probably been told that Spanish pronunciation is super easy, right? That every letter makes one sound and that's it. Well, that's not quite the whole story. While it's definitely way more consistent than English, the Spanish sound system has some really fascinating twists, a few rule breakers, and even a couple of letters that are basically imposters. So let's peel back the layers and uncover the real rules of how Spanish actually sounds. Here's the game plan. We're going to start with the easy part, the 5 golden vowels. Then we'll get into the fun stuff, the consonants in disguise, which are letters that share the exact same sound. After that, we'll check out the rule followers, the letters whose sounds change based on who they're next to. And finally, we'll wrap up with the special characters that give Spanish its unique flavor. All right, let's kick things off on solid ground. In the sometimes crazy world of pronunciation, Spanish vowels are the one thing you can always count on. You know how in English a vowel can have a ton of different sounds? Well, forget all that. Spanish keeps it beautifully simple. There are 5 vowels and they each have exactly one pure, consistent sound. No exceptions, no curveballs. This is your foundation right here. Let's just listen to them. It's always a crisp ah for A, as in Rana. A clean for E, like in Pepe. A sharp E for I, in Kiwi. A pure O for O, like oso. And a consistent U for U, as in uva. That's it. Seriously, you master these 5 pure sounds and you're well on your way. Okay, so the vowels were the warm-up. Now we get to the really fun part, the imposters. These are the Spanish consonants that are masters of disguise, where totally different letters make the exact same sound. First up, a classic trap for English speakers, the letters B and V. In English, they're obviously different, but in modern Spanish, forget about it. They are pronounced identically. There is absolutely zero difference between the sound in bate and vida. So, how do you know which one to write? The short answer is, you don't. It's just a spelling rule you have to memorize. Our next pair of sound-alikes are yay and the double L. For most of the Spanish-speaking world, these two also make the exact same sound. The yay in yema sounds just like the L in lluvia. But here's where we get a really cool regional twist. If you go down to Argentina or Uruguay, this sound completely changes into a soft sh sound. So lluvia sounds more like shuvia. And for our third pair of sound twins, the soft G and the J. See, when the letter G comes before an E or an I, it drops its hard G sound and instead makes the same sound as the letter J. It's that soft, throaty sound from the back of your throat, kind of like the H and the word huge. So the G in gente sounds identical to the J in justo. Now this next one, this is the single biggest clue to where a Spanish speaker is from. In Latin America, the letters Z, C before an E or I, and S can all sound exactly the same, just a simple S sound. But in most of Spain, the Z and that soft C get a totally different th sound, like in the English word think. So a word like zapato becomes zapato. It's a huge difference. But notice the one constant. The letter S is always just S, no matter where you are. Okay, so we've seen letters that sound the same. Now let's look at letters that can make different sounds, but they do it in a very predictable, rule-based way. You can think of them as social chameleons. Their sound all depends on the company they keep. So if you want to make that hard K sound in Spanish, here's the playbook. It's super simple. You use the letter C right before A, O, and U, like in casa. You switch to a QU before E and I, like queso, and notice the U is totally silent here. And finally, the letter K is basically a special guest, reserved almost entirely for foreign words like karate. And guess what? The hard G sound follows almost the exact same logic. Before A, O, and U, you just use a G, like in agua. To keep that hard sound before E and I, you have to stick a silent U in there, as in guerra. But what if you actually want to hear that U sound? Well, Spanish has this clever little trick, the diaresis. When you see those 2 little dots over the U, as in aguero, it's a signal telling you, hey, pronounce me. Ah, yes, the famous Spanish R. There are actually 2 versions. First, you've got the soft R. It's a single, gentle tap of your tongue right behind your teeth, like in oro. A good way to think of it is the T sound in the American English word butter. butter. See? Then you have the iconic strong R. This is that powerful, vibrating trill you use for a double R, like in burro, or anytime a word starts with an R. It's the difference between a quick tap and a full-on roll. And finally, let's meet the specialists of the Spanish alphabet. Think of these characters as the pros. They have one job, one sound, and they always follow the rules. Meet the ghost of the Spanish alphabet, the letter H. And the rule here could not be more simple. It is always silent. You'll see it written all the time in words like hola and ahora, but you will never, ever hear it pronounced. Ever. Next up is CH. Now, while it's technically no longer considered its own separate letter in the alphabet, for all practical purposes, it is. When you see a C and an H together, they combine to make a single sound, that ch sound you already know from English words like cheese or chocolate. Think muchacho. And now for the letter that is the symbol of the Spanish language itself, the ñ or ñ. This letter is just quintessentially Spanish. It represents a sound we have in English, but we have to use two letters for it, the ñ sound, like in the middle of canyon. Well, in Spanish, it gets its very own cool character, like in año or moño. To finish up, let's look at a couple of adopted letters, or foreign visitors. The letter W really only shows up in foreign words. Most of the time, it's pronounced just like an English W, like in Wi-Fi. But sometimes, in words with German origins, it can sound like a V. And the letter X, it has two main sounds. The familiar kiss sound when it's inside a word, like in sexo, but it's pronounced like a simple S sound when it's at the very beginning of a word, as in xilófono. So why get hung up on these tiny details? Well, because sometimes one tiny sound changes everything. For example, if I wish you a feliz año nuevo, I'm wishing you a happy new year. But if I get that little sound wrong and say feliz año nuevo, well, that means something completely different, and trust me, it's a mistake you only make once. In Spanish, the details really do matter. So there you have it. From the simple vowels to the tricky consonants, you now have the blueprint for Spanish sounds. But the real journey isn't just knowing the rules. It's learning to actually hear them in action. So the next time you listen to a song or a conversation in Spanish, listen a little closer. You know the rules now. Can you actually hear the difference?